The morning sun over Earth suddenly went dark.
Not because of clouds.
Not because of storms, but because of ships. Millions and millions of alien ships filled the sky like angry metal clouds. Commander X9 stood on the bridge of his massive warship. He looked down at the small blue planet below. His forearms crossed over his chest. His red eyes glowed with confidence. This was going to be easy. Look at this tiny world, X9 said to his crew. These humans think they can resist us. They don't even have proper space weapons. His lieutenant, a thin creature with silver skin, checked the scanner. Sir, their biggest ships are smaller than our fighter jets. Their weapons look very old. This will take maybe 1 hour. X9 laughed. It was a deep, scary sound. 1 hour? You give them too much credit. I say 30 minutes. Then we take their planet and add it to our empire. The alien fleet had destroyed 100 worlds before Earth. They knew how this worked. First, the small planet would send messages begging for mercy. Then they would offer gold, resources, anything to save their lives. Finally, they would surrender without a fight. But something strange happened. Earth's communication channels stayed quiet. No begging, no crying, no desperate offers. Just silence. Sir, the Silver Lieutenant said, looking confused. We're not getting any distress signals from the planet. Maybe their communication is broken, X9 replied. Send them our standard message. Tell them to surrender or die. The message went out to Earth in 100 languages. People of Earth, you are surrounded. Your world now belongs to the Zextari Empire. Surrender immediately or face total destruction. You have 1 Earth hour to respond. Then they waited. Down on Earth, people looked up at the dark sky. But they didn't panic. They didn't run screaming through the streets. Instead, they went to work. They went to school. They acted like it was just another normal day. In the Earth Defense Command Center, General Sarah Chen sat calmly at her desk. She was drinking coffee and reading reports. When her aide rushed in with news about the alien fleet, she just nodded. How many ships, Lieutenant? She asked. Approximately 2 million, General. They're blocking out the sun in most major cities. General Chen took another sip of her coffee. And their message?
Standard invasion threat.
Surrender or die. The usual alien empire speech. I see. The general stood up slowly. She walked to the big window that showed the dark sky full of ships. Send them our response. What should I tell them, General? General Chen smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the kind of smile a teacher gives a student who didn't study for the test. Send them this message, Lieutenant. Make sure every ship in their fleet gets it. The message went out from Earth. It was short. It was simple. But it made every alien in the fleet stop what they were doing. Leave now. This is your only warning. That was it. Nothing else. No begging. No threats about Earth's mighty weapons. Just 7 words. Commander X9 stared at the message on his screen. Then he started laughing again. But this time his crew didn't laugh with him. Did they just warn us? He asked. Yes, sir. They sent the same message to every ship in our fleet. These humans are even more stupid than I thought. X9 hit his control panel with his fist. They have tiny ships, old weapons, and no space army. But they think they can warn us. But his lieutenant was looking at the scanner with worried eyes. Sir, I'm getting some strange readings. What kind of readings? There are more ships around Earth than we first thought. Much more. X9 walked to the scanner. What he saw made his blood run cold. Ships were appearing out of nowhere. Not small Earth ships. These were big, modern, dangerous looking, and there were thousands of them. Where did those come from? X9 whispered. They were hiding, sir. Behind asteroids, small moons, even in Earth's shadow. Our scanners didn't see them because they didn't want us to see them. More and more human ships appeared. They moved in perfect formation, like dancers who had practiced the same dance 1,000 times. Their weapons were pointing at the alien fleet. General Chen's voice came over the communication channel. It reached every alien ship. Commander X9 of the Zextari Empire. I am General Sarah Chen of Earth Defense Force. You were given a warning. You chose to ignore it. X9's voice shook when he replied. How do you know my name? We know many things about you, Commander. We know about the 100 worlds you destroyed. We know about your ship's weaknesses. We know you're very far from home. The human ships were now surrounding the alien fleet. Somehow, without anyone noticing, the hunters had become the hunted. This is impossible, X9 said. You're just humans. General Chen's reply was quiet, but every alien heard it clearly. Commander, that's your first mistake. We tried to warn you. What happens next? That's your choice. The sky above Earth was full of ships, but now nobody knew who was really in control. Commander X9 stared at the human ships surrounding his fleet. His 4 hands were shaking. This was not how invasions were supposed to work. The small, weak planet was supposed to surrender. Instead, somehow, his mighty fleet was trapped. "Get me everything we know about these humans," he ordered his crew. "How did they hide so many ships? How did we miss them?" His lieutenant worked quickly on the computer. "Sir, I'm downloading their historical data files. Maybe we can find their weakness." "Good. These humans got lucky, but they're still just primitives. We'll find out how to beat them." The data started flowing onto the main screen. At first, X9 felt confident again. The files showed that humans were a young species. They had only been in space for a few decades. Their technology was much newer than his empire's ancient weapons. But then he started reading their history. What is this?" X9 whispered, staring at the screen. The files showed something impossible. These humans, these peaceful creatures, had been fighting wars for thousands of years. Not just small fights, massive planet-wide wars that killed millions of their own people. "Sir," his lieutenant said, his voice full of fear, "look at this section about their world wars." X9 read the numbers. In just 1 century, humans had fought 2 wars that killed over 100 million people. They had created weapons so powerful they could destroy their entire planet, and they had pointed these weapons at each other. "This can't be right," X9 said. "If they fight each other this much, they should be extinct." But the data kept coming. Humans had fought wars in every climate, on every continent, in every condition imaginable. They fought in frozen wastelands and burning deserts. They fought underwater and in the sky. They never stopped learning how to fight better. "Sir, there's more," the lieutenant continued. "They created something called nuclear weapons that can destroy entire cities with 1 bomb. They built thousands of them." X9's red eyes grew wide. "Thousands? Why would they build so many?" "To point at each other, sir. They were ready to destroy their own world rather than lose a war." The alien commander felt something he had never felt before. Fear. His empire conquered peaceful planets, worlds full of farmers and artists and builders, not worlds full of warriors who were willing to destroy everything rather than surrender. "But sir," the lieutenant said hopefully, "they're at peace now. They stopped fighting. That means they became weak, right?" X9 was reading more files. His face grew pale. No, they didn't become weak. They became something much worse." "What do you mean, sir?" "They learned to control their fighting. They chose to stop. These humans don't fight because they can't fight. They don't fight because they decided not to." The communication system beeped. A message was coming from one of the human ships. On the screen appeared a woman in a blue uniform. She looked calm and friendly, like she was inviting them for dinner. "Hello, Commander X9. I am Ambassador Maria Santos of the Earth Diplomatic Corps. I believe we need to talk." X9 straightened his uniform. "Ambassador, I am Commander X9 of the Zextari Empire. Your planet is surrounded. You should surrender." Ambassador Santos smiled. It was a patient smile, like a mother talking to a child. "Commander, I think you misunderstood our first message. We weren't asking you to leave. We were telling you. You can't tell us anything. We have the bigger fleet." "Do you, Commander?" The ambassador's voice stayed calm and polite. "Our scanners show you have about 2 million ships. That's very impressive." X9 felt proud again. "Yes, and you have maybe a few thousand ships. We outnumber you completely." "Actually, Commander, you're only seeing the ships we wanted you to see." Before X9 could ask what she meant, his lieutenant screamed, "Sir, new ships! Thousands of new ships!" More human vessels appeared on the scanner. They had been hiding in asteroid fields, behind moons, even inside the giant gas planets of Earth's solar system. The human fleet wasn't smaller than the alien fleet. It was bigger, much bigger. "How?" X9 whispered. Ambassador Santos continued speaking in her calm, friendly voice. "Commander, we studied your empire for 50 years. We know how you fight. We know where you come from. We know your ship's weak points. We've been preparing for this day since before you decided to come here." "Impossible. We just decided to invade Earth 6 months ago." "Actually, Commander, you decided to invade Earth 3 years ago. Your empire isn't very good at keeping secrets." X9 looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at the scanners in shock. They were completely surrounded. Every escape route was blocked. "What do you want?" he asked. "The same thing we wanted 6 hours ago, Commander. Leave. This is still your only warning, but now it's also your last chance." The communication ended. Zex-9 stood in silence, staring at the dark screen. Around him, his mighty fleet waited for orders. But for the first time in his military career, the great commander Zex-9 didn't know what to do. The humans had made their point very clear. This wasn't their first war, and they never lost. The silence in space was broken by the sound of human ships moving. Commander Zex-9 watched his scanners as the Earth vessels started to spread out. They moved like a pack of hunting animals, slow and careful, surrounding their prey. "Sir, what are your orders?" his lieutenant asked with a shaking voice. Zex-9 stared at the screen. His empire had conquered 100 worlds, but they had never faced anything like this. Usually the enemy ran away or begged for mercy. These humans were doing something different. They were hunting. "All ships, battle formation," Zex-9 commanded. "Show these humans what the Zextari Empire can do." 2 million alien ships moved into their attack pattern. It was a formation that had never failed before. The big ships in front, smaller ships on the sides, fastest ships ready to strike from behind. But something strange happened. The humans didn't try to match their formation. Instead, they did something that made no sense. They scattered. Human ships went in every direction, like they were running away. "Ha!" Zex-9 laughed. "Finally, they show their true nature. All ships attack!" Chase them down. The alien fleet rushed forward, breaking their perfect formation to chase the scattered human ships. It felt good to be hunting again instead of being trapped. But Admiral Sarah Chen, watching from the human command ship, smiled. "Phase 1 complete," she said calmly. "The enemy has broken formation. Begin Phase 2. What happened next changed everything. The running human ships suddenly stopped and turned around. But they weren't alone anymore. From behind every asteroid, every moon, every piece of space debris, more human ships appeared. The aliens had been chasing bait into a trap. "Contact!" screamed the alien lieutenant. Human ships on all sides. "We're surrounded again." But this time, the humans weren't just surrounding them. They were attacking. Human weapons fire lit up space like deadly fireworks. But these weren't the primitive weapons Zex-9 expected. These were beams of pure energy that cut through alien shields like hot knives through butter. "How are their weapons so powerful?" Zex-9 shouted. "Sir, they're using our own weapon designs against us. But improved. Made better." Admiral Chen's voice came over the communication channel. "Commander Zex-9, you've been studying us for 6 months. We've been studying you for 50 years. The human attack was like nothing the aliens had ever seen. Human ships moved in perfect coordination, like dancers who knew every step. When one human ship fired, 3 others provided cover. When aliens tried to escape, humans were already waiting. "Sir, we're losing ships," the lieutenant reported. 500 destroyed in the first attack. "Return fire. Destroy them all." The aliens fired back with everything they had. Massive energy cannons that could destroy cities. Missile swarms that could level mountains. But somehow the human ships avoided most of the attacks. They moved like they knew exactly where the aliens would shoot. "This is impossible," Zex-9 screamed. "How do they know our attack patterns?" His question was answered when a human fighter pilot's voice came over the radio. The pilot sounded calm, almost bored. "Alien ship at coordinates 7-7-2, you're going to fire 3 missiles in 4 seconds. Moving to avoid them now." And he did. The human ship moved away exactly 4 seconds before the alien ship fired. The missiles hit empty space. "They're predicting our attacks." The lieutenant gasped. Admiral Chen's voice returned. "Commander, your empire fights the same way every time. Same formations, same tactics, same weaknesses. We've watched you destroy 100 worlds. We learned from every single battle." The human attacks became more precise. They didn't just shoot randomly. Every shot hit exactly where it would cause the most damage. Alien ships lost weapons, engines, communication systems. The humans were taking the alien fleet apart piece by piece. "Sir, they're not trying to destroy us quickly," the lieutenant realized. "They're making us helpless first." "Why would they do that?" Zex-9 asked. His answer came from a human pilot who was currently destroying an alien cruiser. "Because humans don't just fight wars, Commander. We perfect them." More alien ships fell, but the worst part wasn't the losing. It was how easy it looked for the humans. Their pilots talked to each other like they were playing a game. They shared jokes. They gave each other advice on better ways to disable alien ships. Blue Squadron, aim for their communication arrays first, one pilot said cheerfully. Makes them panic faster. Thanks for the tip, Sarah. Red Squadron, try hitting their engines at the weak point near the fuel tanks. Much more efficient. They were turning the destruction of the alien fleet into a learning experience. Commander X9 watched his mighty Empire's fleet being taken apart by an enemy that had been waiting, planning, preparing. This wasn't a battle. This was an execution. Sir, his lieutenant whispered, I'm getting reports from the other sectors. It's the same everywhere. The humans aren't just winning. They're teaching each other how to beat us better. As another wave of alien ships exploded, Admiral Chen's voice came through one final time. Commander X9, this is what happens when you hunt a species that spent 10,000 years learning how to hunt each other. Commander X9 sat in his damaged command chair, staring at the wreckage of his once mighty fleet. Half of his ships were floating in space, broken and powerless. The other half were trapped, surrounded by human vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere. Sir, I found something in the Earth database, his lieutenant said quietly. Something called Project Silent Guardian. What is it? X9 asked, though he was afraid to know the answer. It's a file from 50 Earth years ago. Sir, I think you need to see this. The main screen flickered to life. It showed an old Earth meeting room. Human leaders sat around a table, looking serious. The date on the file made X9's blood freeze, 50 years before his invasion. A human general was speaking. Ladies and gentlemen, our deep space sensors have detected something troubling. There's an alien empire moving through this part of the galaxy. They destroy worlds, and according to their path, they'll reach Earth in approximately 50 years. 50 years? Another human asked. 50 years to prepare, the general replied. 50 years to get ready for war. X9 stared at the screen. This is impossible. We didn't even know Earth existed 50 years ago. But the recording continued. A woman scientist stood up. We've studied their attack patterns from long-range observations. The Zextari Empire follows the same strategy every time. They arrive with massive fleets, demand surrender, then destroy any resistance. What do you suggest? Asked the human leader. We prepare, but not the way they expect us to prepare. The scene changed to show human shipyards, but they looked strange. These weren't the military bases X9 expected. They looked like normal space stations for trade and science. Every human colony will have hidden defense systems, the scientist explained. Every merchant ship will carry weapons. Every space station will be a fortress, but from the outside everything will look peaceful. X9's lieutenant gasped. Sir, those merchant ships we saw around Earth were warships, X9 finished. All of them. The recording showed more of humanity's secret preparation. They built factories inside asteroids. They hid weapon platforms behind moons. They trained their entire population for war while making everything look normal. The Zextari Empire studies their targets for only a few months before attacking, the scientist continued. They look for armies, weapons, defenses. They won't see any of those things when they look at us. Because we'll hide everything, another human said. Exactly. And while they're feeling confident about their easy victory, we'll be surrounding them. The recording fast-forwarded through 50 years of secret preparation. Humans built the largest hidden military force in the galaxy. Every human learned to fight. Every human ship was designed for war. Every human colony was a trap waiting to spring. But the most shocking part came at the end of the recording. What if they don't attack us? A human asked. The general smiled. Then we'll have the strongest defense force in the galaxy, and we'll never need to use it. But if they do attack, they'll discover that humans are very good at long-term planning. The recording ended. X9 sat in stunned silence. Everything made sense now. The humans hadn't gotten lucky. They hadn't suddenly become powerful. They had spent 50 years preparing for this exact moment. Sir, his lieutenant whispered, there's more. The humans have been tracking our fleet's movement for 3 years. They knew exactly when we would arrive. They knew exactly how many ships we would bring. They knew everything. A new communication signal came through. This time it wasn't Admiral Chen or Ambassador Santos. It was a man in a simple uniform, but his eyes were hard and cold. Commander X9, I am General Michael Torres, Director of Project Silent Guardian. I think it's time we had an honest conversation. You've been planning this for 50 years, X9 asked. Yes, we studied your empire's history. You destroy peaceful worlds because they can't fight back. You've never faced a world that was ready for you. But you seem so peaceful. Your planets had no armies. General Torres smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. Commander, do you know the difference between humans and every other species you've conquered? What? When other species prepare for war, they build armies and show their strength. When humans prepare for war, we hide our strength and let our enemies feel confident. That's cheating. No, Commander. That's strategy. That's what happens when you hunt a species that has been fighting wars since before your empire existed. The general leaned forward. Every merchant you saw was a soldier. Every peaceful colony was a military base. Every trade ship was a warship. For 50 years, our entire civilization has been one giant trap. And we flew right into it, X9 whispered. Yes, you did. Now, Commander, let me ask you one final question. Are you ready to hear our terms for your surrender? Commander X9 looked around his broken bridge, at his defeated fleet, at the human ships surrounding him from every direction. For 50 years, while his empire had been conquering helpless worlds, the humans had been quietly preparing for the day he would arrive. The scariest part wasn't human weapons or human ships. The scariest part was human patience. Commander X9 stared at General Torres on the screen. Around him, his bridge crew waited in silence. Outside, the remains of the mighty Zextari fleet floated helplessly in space, surrounded by human ships. Your terms? X9 asked quietly. Simple, Commander. The same terms we offered 6 hours ago. Leave, never return. Tell every species in the galaxy that Earth is protected. And if we refuse? General Torres didn't answer with words. Instead, he nodded to someone off-screen. Suddenly, every scanner on X9's ship lit up with new contacts. More human ships were appearing. Not hundreds, not thousands, millions. This is impossible, X9 whispered. Where are they all coming from? Every human colony, Commander. Every space station. Every asteroid mine. For 50 years, we built ships and hid them everywhere. What you're seeing now is humanity's true fleet. The alien commander looked at his scanners. The human fleet was massive beyond imagination. They had more ships than his empire had ever built. And every ship was modern, powerful, and perfectly positioned. How many? X9 asked. Does it matter? Enough to end your empire if we choose to. But we don't want to do that. Why not? You have the power. General Torres looked tired suddenly, like an old teacher explaining something to a slow student. Because, Commander, humans learned something your empire never did. Victory isn't about destroying your enemy. It's about making sure the war ends. On screens throughout the alien fleet, other human officers appeared. They were talking to alien captains, offering the same choice, surrender and live or fight and die. Most of the aliens chose to surrender, but some didn't. The alien ships that refused to give up found out why humans had studied warfare for 10,000 years. Human weapons didn't just destroy enemy ships. They disabled them perfectly. Engines stopped working, but life support continued. Weapons failed, but communication systems stayed online. The humans weren't trying to kill, they were trying to capture. Why are you keeping us alive? Asked an alien captain whose ship had just been disabled. Because, replied a human officer, dead enemies can't tell their friends to stay away from Earth. Within 1 hour, the battle was over. The Zextari Empire's invasion fleet was completely defeated. Some ships were destroyed, but most were captured. The aliens who surrendered found themselves treated well. The humans gave them food, medical care, and even entertainment while they waited. I don't understand, X9 said to General Torres. You won. Why are you being kind to us? Because, Commander, we're not like your empire. We don't enjoy destroying others. We're good at war because we had to be, but we prefer peace. Then why didn't you just talk to us before? Why not avoid this fight? General Torres laughed, but it wasn't a mean laugh. Commander, what would have happened if we had sent you a message 50 years ago saying, please don't invade us, we're peaceful? X9 thought about it. We would have invaded immediately. Peaceful species are easy targets. Exactly. The only way to get peace with a warlike empire is to prove you're too dangerous to attack. And now, Now you'll go home. You'll tell your empire that Earth is protected by the most dangerous military force in the galaxy. You'll make sure no other alien empire ever tries to invade us. What if we lie? What if we tell them you're weak? General Torres smiled. This time it was a cold smile. Commander, we have your entire fleet. We know where your homeworld is. We have detailed scans of all your technology. If you lie to us, we'll visit your empire, and we won't be nearly as nice to them as we've been to you. The message was clear. Earth wasn't just defending itself. It was ready to hunt anyone who threatened it. As the alien ships prepared to leave, something unexpected happened. Some of the younger aliens asked to stay. Why? Asked General Torres. Because you showed us something our empire never did, said a young alien officer. You showed us how to win without destroying everything. We want to learn from you. Over the next few hours, dozens of aliens chose to stay on Earth. They wanted to learn human ways. They wanted to be part of a civilization that could be powerful without being cruel. Commander X9 watched as his fleet prepared to return home. Most of his ships were badly damaged, but the humans had given them enough supplies to make the journey. General Torres, he said, I have one last question. Yes? Why did you give us one warning? Why not just attack without telling us? General Torres was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Because, Commander, there's a reason humans are the only species that warns their enemies. We remember what it's like to be afraid. We remember what it's like to be helpless. We give our enemies one chance because we hope they're smart enough to take it. And if they don't, then we remind them why humans survived 10,000 years of fighting each other. As the Zextari fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying news of humanity's power to the far corners of the galaxy, General Torres turned to his staff. Send a message to all human colonies, he said. The Silent Guardian project is complete. We can go back to being explorers and scientists and artists. The galaxy now knows that Earth gives one warning. And if they're smart, asked his aide. If they're smart, they'll listen. And if they're not? General Torres looked out at the stars, where human ships were already returning to their hidden bases. Then they'll learn. The hunt was over. Earth had given one warning. The smart aliens listened. The others learned the hard way that humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy when they choose to be.